Hello and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole Praska, and with me as always is...
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
Hi, Khalid.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
How you doing today?
I'm groovy as usual.
You said it, groovy.
I did it. What's up? Did you? It's as we speak, it is currently still Super Bowl Sunday, correct?
Yep.
Do we know who won? Can we tell people in real time yet?
Nope, no idea.
No idea who won yet, guys. It could be literally any of the teams in the NFL. So stay tuned. By the time this episode drops, you will know which team in the NFL won the Super Bowl.
We're at that point where it could be both or neither. So it's like a Schrodinger's cat kind of situation, like a Schrodinger's Super Bowl.
We can say with 100% certainty that the weekend did perform. That did happen.
Yeah, and it also is the weekend. Currently, it's Sunday.
Yeah, no, that's I really like to think that was just like fortuitous, the timing of all of that with his name. But it's hard to say. I mean, they plan these things so far in advance.
Okay, so I'm seeing the score right now, and one team is definitely ahead of the other. So
love that for that team. I've been rooting for that specific team for so long. This is just like rewarding as a longtime fan of that team.
Yeah. So we're recording this right now. It's Super Bowl. Super Bowl's happening, but when this drops, it's going to be close to Valentine's Day, which is the season of love, right?
Yeah, it is technically a day of love. The rest of the month is reserved for other things that we celebrate in February. But, Absolutely. It's a good day of love. Yeah.
Yeah. And before we jump into what we're talking about today, Khalid, we have a guest today.
Do we?
Yeah, I'm really excited. This is our first returning guest. So somebody who wasn't so turned off and wanted to never return.
Really? We have like at least one person that wasn't turned off from the first time they did this?
We do, yeah. It's Nicole Praska, my wife, who's also sitting right next to me. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Khalid.
Hey, Nikki.
For those of you listening, you might remember Nikki was here on the 6th episode of Frankenstein's podcast here to spit some hot takes on Jennifer's body.
And I'm back. I guess I didn't hate it that much that I didn't want to return, right? I'm just kidding. I love the podcast and I listen to every episode and I was excited to come back.
Super fan.
Hey, we're super fans of you, Nikki. So it is great to have you back. Honestly, I'm not even exaggerating. The Jennifer's Body discussion was like one of my favorites on this podcast. And I'm excited to see what we got to talk about this time.
Same. I have been looking forward to talking about this movie.
Khalid.
And the movie that we're talking about today, thank you for the tee up, Joe, is the 2020... The movie we're talking about today is the 2020 movie Love and Monsters, directed by Micheal Matthews. And we've got a little synopsis from our homeboy Google. It's been a minute since we checked back in with him, but he's got this one going here. I don't know why I'm gendering Google as specifically a boy this time. I was using
Rude.
homeboy as gender neutral, understandably, the entire time up until now, but now I'm just saying homeboy is a boy. Anyways, Google has this to say about Love and Monsters. 7 years after the monster apocalypse, Joel Dawson, along with the rest of humanity, has been living underground ever since giant creatures took control of the land. After reconnecting over the radio with his high school girlfriend, Amy, who is now 80 miles away at a coastal colony, Joel begins to fall for her again. As Joel realizes that there's nothing left for him underground, he decides to venture out to Amy despite all the dangerous monsters that stand in the way. Finn.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
Before we jump into the movie, I got a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
What did one monster say to the other?
Oh, God.
Be my Valens slime.
Like
Valentine, get it?
That only works if you just like throw away like what a joke means, like fundamentally.
Thanks, Khalid.
Wait, is that supposed to be a pun? Because it's all right.
So, what do you guys think of the movie?
Nikki, why don't you start? I'm heated over here.
All right. Well, so when we first started it has this pretty typical beginning, and it was kind of weak in the beginning. I mean, it starts out with, and the main character, Joel, is portrayed as kind of pathetic. Like, he cooks for his underground bunkmates, and he can't fight, and he's the only one not paired up in a couple, it appears, and he just seems, it's almost like, why survive the apocalypse if this is your life afterwards kind of vibe going on. But as the movie gets going, it got interesting. Like, the monsters are really cool, and once he gets out on the surface, it gets really interesting and intense at times. And then the end completely blew me away. And we can talk more about that once we get there. But it wasn't until the credits rolled that I was like, oh my God, I really loved this movie.
What do you think, Khalid?
Yeah, I gotta echo a lot of the same sentiments here. Overall, I liked it. Just based on the description of the movie from our homeboy Google synopsis, you can tell it's a little bit of a sweaty plot. Like, I even reading through all of that, sometimes I'll read a Google synopsis or whatever, and I'll be like, well, they didn't need all of that. It's kind of a mouthful, or this is not really as important to the movie as this would suggest. A lot of this you just needed to really understand, like, if this happened, then that happened, because so you have to suspend so much disbelief with the motivations that this character is being driven by, like what he's willing to put his life through just to maybe reconnect with a girl that he had a decent relationship with before the apocalypse, which is, it's a lot to put on somebody that they're going to be just as perfect for you after all of the trauma that comes with an apocalypse. So, I mean, yeah, other than that, I think I was very impressed with and satisfied with the story it was telling. We'll get into it, but I really like that it kind of pivots into almost like one of those old Grecian, like Homer in the Odyssey or Jason and the Argonauts kind of a tale, where it's this guy that you realize is gonna be the hero that the movie promises, but it's done in a way that feels earned, and the challenges are credible. I'm very if this scenario is real, the way that they're playing it is just as real. I say all that to say I like it, and that we are gonna have fun talking about this one. How about you, Joe?
Agreed. I mean, and both of you make some great points. I think I'm with Nikki. I think I wasn't 100% sold in the beginning. Like, I felt like it might have been it could have very easily fallen into some tropes. It could have easily
Formulaic.
But came off formulaic. Yeah, exactly. But ultimately it did surprise me. I think the tone and sort of there's earnest optimism to it, and just it just felt refreshing in a lot of ways. And I think the ending too, the last act, it really kind of sets it apart from other movies that might be similar to this in a lot of ways. So I was a big fan. I really dug it. I liked it more than I thought I would going into it. I think definitely.
Same. I don't know about you guys, but we're just getting into it right now, right? We're just mixing it up.
Let's dig in. Let's dig in.
Cut the fat, guys. Or is it chew the fat?
It's gnaw the fat.
Let's gnaw. Let's get gnawing.
He's making a face.
Sorry, the gnaw the fat bit just really got away from me. What were we talking about?
The movie.
No, I
just diving into it.
Right. But what was the point that I was going to say right before diving into it? I was jumping off what you were saying. What was the last thing you said? Is what I'm asking.
It was a lot better than I expected going into it. The third act was really great.
Okay. That didn't help. Anyways, I can jump off of this. Let me just go from here. I would say that the ending for me is what was really sold it. I think I texted both of you guys about how this is probably one of my favorite endings, where I don't know, post-apocalyptic movies, just by virtue of the kind of audience they're going for, usually the cynical survivalist mentality, or at least somebody who wants to cosplay as an end of the world badass, like these movies let you do. This movie really sidesteps a lot of that cynicism and gives you kind of hope, a credible hope for the future, because while the world that they're in is dangerous, I think they do a good job of proving that if a man as like paralyzed as Dylan O'Brien's character Joel, like as paralyzed with fear as his character is for so much of the first half, can survive 2 weeks up top, then the threat isn't bigger than humanity. It's just kind of like they won the first round, but we're coming back, and this kid is the beacon about that. And that was cool to see. Like, he tells his story, and it inspires a bunch of people that maybe felt just as scared as he did and didn't really have the words for it until he did that cool radio broadcast. So, yeah, that was that ending. That ending spoke like volumes, and I think maybe a part of that is just like the quarantine vibes that we're all still experiencing, and that fatigue, and just wanting some kind of encouragement from somewhere.
You know, that you say that, it is a really nice movie for kind of the times. It subverts a lot of those ideas that you'll get from like a typical sort of post-apocalyptic dystopian movie. Like usually those are very cynical, and it's definitely not a very cynical type movie. You had some interesting thoughts, Nikki, about sort of just like where the journey takes us. Like, you had some expectations for like when he finally meets the girl at the end.
Yeah, so going in, and that was another thing at the beginning of the movie. It wasn't extremely clear at first how long they'd been reconnected and the conversations that they had, because you only got to witness one brief conversation between the two of them over the radio before he sets out. And the movie starts out telling you also that it's been 7 years, and that's a long time to, especially if you were isolated and 90% of humanity or whatever it is has been decimated. And sort of, I was really bothered at first by Joel's assumption that Amy, right? Amy would be, first of all, that she wouldn't already be in a relationship, that she would be interested in returning to a relationship with Joel after a 7-year break in the middle of the apocalypse. So that was kind of a concern for me going in. And I mean, as we get to the end, that's kind of exactly what happens. She describes having been in a relationship, and that kind of disappoints him. And then she's like, dude, I'm kind of busy here. Like, I don't have time for a relationship. I'm running this colony, and I've kind of made a life for myself, outside of in this world now. And just because you showed up here and risked your life and everything doesn't necessarily make me change that, really. And so I kind of appreciated where like their relationship went, and how I don't know. And he seemed bummed. I mean, that's kind of understandable. And so I was watching that part really carefully, and he definitely can't not pretend that he's not kind of bummed out and sort of taken aback. But it's also like, dude, you should have thought of this stuff before you set out. I think the two friends he meets along the way, Minnow and Clyde, right? It's been a couple weeks since we watched.
Yeah, Minnow and Clyde.
Minnow and Clyde. I think Clyde kind of points out, like, why are you doing this? Do you even know that she wants to get back together with you, or like what she's up for? And Joel kind of just brushes it aside, but then he's faced with reality once he comes face to face with Amy. And
they do that a couple of times. This movie it plays a little too cute at times with how much it wants to have it both ways, where it's like, we're basically making a like teen sex romp about this guy that will literally like fight all of the monsters that the post-apocalyptic wasteland has to offer for like the faintest hope that he'll like get to have like a regular hookup in a bunker somewhere. And they want to be really cute about it, where it's like, well, it is like that age-old story of like, boys will do anything for a girl they like, but it's also like, it's 2020, so we have to like point out why it's problematic, and it gets a little cheeky at times. I think for me specifically, it was the robot he meets in the woods, and the robot literally at one point just like points out the like 3 possible scenarios that could happen when he sees Amy, and like what could come of like meeting after all these years. And yeah, I mean, the one of the scenarios more or less just does happen, where it's like they do meet and it's not the same at all, and he just has to kind of deal with that.
Yeah, but I think what I was impressed with was, as much as like he was clearly disappointed, like he didn't hold it against her. He wasn't like, bitch, I went all this way. Like, he didn't blow up. Like, I mean, he shouldn't have, but I mean, I think that's kind of, or like guilt trip her really hard at all. Like, I mean, I think that's kind of something that people would have expected.
But for me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I just this is bringing up like it's coming to the point that I think for me is like what I've been wanting to ask you guys since I saw this movie for the second time, which it didn't really click for me the first time. So part of me suspects that he kind of wanted to die and didn't really expect to survive the journey. A big part of it has to do with, one, everybody keeps making the very reasonable argument that like, yo man, like as quote unquote miserable as you are here, like you're in one of the few like effective like bunkers / security systems. I know we got our problems and we just had a breach, but like that's not why you're leaving. You're just leaving because you think your girlfriend that isn't really even committing to you is gonna like love that you just like spring up to at her doorstep. And I think he at every point like acknowledges when people bring up like that he has really no impetus for what he's doing. And so when he does go on this journey, at least like at the jump, like for me, so much of it is just like the only thing that we really know about this guy is that he rightfully feels useless in this like survivalist outpost where everybody else seems to be doing a good job of like establishing their worth or being children. And he just like has that paralyzing fear that makes him useless. I think the joke is that he can only make minestrone and fix radios, which don't seem that useful to that outpost. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I feel like for me, a lot of it is just like he didn't have like the polite words to say. Like, I think I'm just gonna like take my chances out there and probably get eaten and not be anybody's problem anymore.
It's an interesting point. I don't know if it's like necessarily a death wish per se, but I mean it's very obviously like a prove myself kind of journey. You know, like you're right. He doesn't have much to offer. And in the beginning, we do see him, especially when there's like a bug monster that does breach the bunker. Like he like tries to be part of it. He wants to be part of the group that goes out and fights. And then we see him have that freeze up problem. So like he keeps trying to prove himself and he keeps failing. And I feel like in the beginning, it's more so him trying to prove himself to the others. And I think like that was like a breaking point for him where he's realizing that he feels useless, that he is useless. He's like, maybe I am useless. And then this is a journey for him to see like, what can I actually do? What can I actually make of myself on my own?
I think that's eventually what does happen. And I mean, obviously like that's the way that was a smart way for the movie to go, especially if it's marketed more towards like an all ages adventure film. It's just something about like the way that the like journey begins where it feels like, I know it's called Love and Monsters, but it still just feels like the flimsiest of pretexts. Like the way that even the Google synopsis makes you like have to like really belabor the point of like his circumstances and what makes him want to do this and how, like da 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 da. Like it just feels like a lot of steps that don't really equate to love for me so much as just like an excuse. But I mean, maybe I'm just reading a lot more into it, but I think a part of it has to do with his performance. He just really sells that like utter hopelessness that like fear can like put into you, and it's even more impressive when you realize most of the things he's acting against aren't actually there.
So you're talking a little bit about the title and then like the idea of love, and this was kind of one of my main takeaways actually, because I think it starts out as like its facade is that it's about romantic love and that he's chasing this, you know, high school sweetheart in this post-apocalyptic world. And what I took away from the movie, and this is one of my main things and one of the reasons I really liked it, was I feel like it wasn't really about simply like, or even at all, like romantic love, but kind of love in all its forms. Like think about Clyde and Minnow are sort of the love of the stranger. I mean, there was no reason for them to save him at all. Like they could have turned a blind eye and walked right past him and been like, oh, tough luck for that guy. Like in a post-apocalyptic world where you're trying to survive, like what is the benefit? I mean, to adding someone to your group, you know? And I feel like they were pretty generous and like in a way, like, I don't know, it was like the love of the stranger. And I also felt like sort of his interaction with that robot that ultimately turned into him seeing like those images of his mom and some of the flashbacks that he had back to his like last moments with his mom. I kind of feel like that was sort of like representative of like the love between like parent and child, kind of like familial love. And then at the end, I also feel like we get like love of community and, you know, the way he ends up actually missing his found family from his original bunker, and the way that dynamic between like the asshole at the end who comes in trying to sabotage Amy's colony, and you know their selfishness, and paired against Joel and Amy, and like the idea of community and how that's how most people are surviving, is by like sharing, you know, figuring out what people's strengths are and playing to them and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of felt like the title initially makes you think of like, oh yeah, like sweetheart, romantic love, you know, whatever, like a couple. But I felt like the movie kind of revealed as it went on sort of the different forms of love that love can take. I don't know. That was one of my main takeaways.
Well said. No, that's very well said. That's a very good point. I completely co-sign it.
Also, even just kind of the, I mean, I don't know if you want to call it love, but just that last interaction there with like that giant crab, and sort of instead of jumping to, I mean, he almost jumps to like, you're a monster and I need to kill you. But then sort of, I guess maybe love of nature or animals in a way, sort of like recognizing that this animal was being tortured and showing it compassion, which is a form of love, and helping it out ultimately. Like, I don't know. That's what I took away from it. Like after the movie was over, like when I like reflected back on all of his interactions, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that was intentional. Probably not necessarily, but that was what I took away from it.
It might have been intentional. Like, I mean, kind of like we talked about, there's a lot of subversion happening, and like the subversion of that expectation of what you think the love in the title was referring to. I think that's a really good point. I also liked, kind of like you're saying with the crab, I really liked the sort of like underlying thread of the notion that the monsters that we encounter aren't all like these just like violent, evil creatures. They're just kind of doing their things. They're meant to be like mutations of existing creatures. And so like we see the snail, right? And the snail is just kind of this gentle giant in a sense that could like eat you whole if it wanted to, but really doesn't want to. It just wants to do its thing. And I like that, how that kind of turned it. Like, what did it say? Was it Clyde who said, look at their eyes and you can kind of tell, like, are they aggressive or are they just kind of docile or just, you know, pretty chill? And he saw that with the crab. I really appreciated that element to that. It just added another dimension to like the monsters, or the monsters inhabiting the apocalypse.
I'd like to think that goes both ways too, that the monsters also look at the eyes. Like, I feel like more than anything, the way that the having us follow this journey through Joel's eyes and him kind of coming to terms with like, okay, maybe I'm not brave enough to just immediately kill these monsters when I come across them, but maybe that's also what makes me the perfect person to come up against them. That's not always the like immediate answer. And I don't have to like make myself a Terminator-esque like killer or hunter to make it in this world. Maybe I can just like look a couple of these monsters in the eyes and be like, hey, are we cool?
Yeah. And I feel like that's, I'm not as familiar with this movie as you might be, Khalid, but I feel like a lot of comparisons are drawn between this and Zombieland, right?
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's, that would probably be like the thing that, for me at least, hurt my initial impression of this movie when I saw the trailer for it. I was just like, oh, this feels like a shameless Zombieland cash in. You got Michael Rooker in what is that actor's
Woody
name?
Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson, yeah, he's like the Woody Harrelson role. Amy Mann is going to be the Emma Stone role. Not Amy Mann, Amy whatever her name was. Sorry. And yeah, you even got the precocious little girl that's going to be like better at killing than the main dude. So
you're thinking of Jessica Henwick?
Yeah, Jessica Henwick's character, Amy.
As Amy, yeah.
Yeah, so she's the Emma Stone of this, and it all fits so perfectly. And I don't think it's an accident that it was marketed like that, which made it that much more pleasant when that's maybe 5 to 10% of the movie is that it's a Zombieland ripoff. It's not entirely as a Zombieland ripoff like the trailer would have you believe.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of what you're saying there is kind of sets it apart from like something like Zombieland, where it is about, it's a little more, that's more of a cynical movie, I would say. I mean, a little bit more at least, and it's less about empathizing with the zombies as much. I think I haven't seen it in a long time, but I like
Zombieland is like a meta Oreo. If like the cookie was meta and the cream filling was meta and it was double stuffed, so it's just too much meta. That's that's Zombieland in a nutshell. And it was cute when it came out because we were like, I don't know, on our like 7th cycle of zombie stuff. So we were like commenting on our obsession with zombie stuff, which was also a commentary on zombie stuff from the past and blah, blah, blah. And it all somehow ends with Jesse Eisenberg like giving you a bunch of rules as he shoots things. So I say this is ultimately gonna like stand up better over time than something like Zombieland. I don't know that the fan base will be there quite as much because this didn't have a chance to be in theaters or maybe get the cult following that a theatrical run would have given it. But I think that like if you actually like years from now watch those two movies, Zombieland says a lot about our obsession with zombies at that point in time, and Love and Monsters just like says a lot about like humanity, which it just feels like lasts longer.
a more lasting message.
Exactly. Yeah. Something that like at any point you can like really get, you know?
Yeah. I think this was supposed to get a theatrical release, but you know, the circumstances of the time and everything. But
I would guess
feel like
so.
I've
The
seen
production is
it's
very high for a straight to
yeah.
video. Yeah.
I've seen like rumblings of it. It's not like, I don't know, like sweeping like news sites or anything, but I feel like whenever I see an article about it, most people seem to be like, "Oh, that was a pleasant surprise." Like, I think enough word of mouth kind of stuff like that. I think it will have a lasting effect after maybe a few years. People kind of start revisiting it and checking it out. It's like, oh, I should have checked that movie out back when it came out, and maybe it'll get a cult status.
I would hope so. I mean, I'll recommend it anytime people want to watch something, and I'll definitely come back to it myself. I think that even just watching it twice within the last month, I found a lot to enjoy about it. So I think this is definitely something I can come back to, and you know, that's always nice. It's nothing too heady. You're never gonna be like lost in the weeds with any of what they're trying to say with this movie, but it's a simple, clean, and agreeable message overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that I'd almost like to see more of if we could have, I would have liked to see more of what, I mean, I guess this doesn't really help with sort of how the twist works and like how he meets up with Amy at the end, but I would almost want to see what happened with Amy, like dealing with her camp, you know, like what she was kind of going through. Cause I feel like her storyline seems like it could be kind of interesting, like being the sole young person in a camp of like older people and kind of holding it together, becoming like a de facto leader. It's a very different story than what Joel went through.
Yeah, that's the like good and bad thing about a protagonist like Joel. He's so much of an everyman, so much of like a non character at times because it's about just like introducing another new cool thing in the world that they're introducing, which kudos to them. The world building in this is very well done. I have a sense of the time period that they're trying to go for, and I have a sense of like how much damage was done. It's not easy to do with something that has to have a world built out like a post-apocalyptic feature, but they did it. But yeah, I say all that to say that the like Dylan O'Brien's character is kind of bland compared to everybody else. So for me, I found myself like the way you were interested in what Amy's character and her people were up to. I was like interested in a lot of the stuff going on around him. I was like, ooh, what if like we just like had the rest of the movie is just like a bunch of travelers coming up on this like dying robot and just having like pleasant conversations? Or what if my homegirl Minnow just had like a whole franchise just now? Like, what if we just stop this movie and start that franchise? So I'm right there with you. There's a lot of cool stuff that they introduce in this world, and introduce enough of it that I was like, I want more as they went on to the rest of the story.
So how about the monsters?
Hey, nice transition.
Should we monster it up?
Let's get to them stirs.
Only because
Let's
there's
start calling
there's
them
quite a
that.
few
There are
to get
quite a
through.
few,
So
yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys notice this is basically like adult Pokemon?
Oh, I wrote that in my notes.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah.
I wrote that I felt like his journal kind of reminded me of a Pokedex in some manner, where it's like strengths, weaknesses, like the pictures of the monster.
Like if you told me that this was somehow like a sneaky like backdoor like Pokemon prequel, I'd be like, well done. You really,
Yeah.
you really laid the groundwork here.
I mean, that's kind of what Pokemon are. Like they're just like giant
That's exactly
versions of
yeah.
things of things. Yeah, that's a great description. Giant versions of things. They're like giant creatures that exist in a lot of ways. But yeah, anyway, yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah, they're just Pokemon, which that's not a bad thing. It's $1 billion industry. Like if you can be compared to it, it's only favorable.
Yeah. Maybe that's the next step in this franchise if it becomes was to capture and tame the monsters.
Seems logical, right?
Yeah, I do it. But anyway, so here's what we know about the monsters within the world itself. So what happened essentially is there was an asteroid that was coming to destroy Earth. So humanity sent like missiles to stop the asteroid. Missiles came back with like all sorts of chemicals and weird stuff. It's really vague, and it's intentionally vague because I think they didn't want to get in the weeds of this. But as effectively, the chemicals mutated cold-blooded creatures. So humans and like mammals were unaffected, but things like insects, snails, frogs, crabs, that kind of stuff,
all the
crustaceans,
stuff.
those things were what people kind of think are like creepy crawlies. Those things are mutated and made into like giant, basically monsters. They are evocative of the original forms, like they remind you of them, but they also like are completely fresh and new designs. So they're not quite like a giant ant doesn't look like just a giant ant. It's like a mutated and weird looking. So that's kind of cool. But so like that notion, like I said, it's intentionally vague, and that's this sort of the setup, the premise for it.
How shitty. I mean, they were trying to prevent like an apocalypse by asteroid and then inadvertently cause the apocalypse anyway. It's like the time loop curse where it's like if you try to prevent something from happening, but by doing so, you end up causing the thing to happen. It's just terrible.
Kind of sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what'd you guys think of the monsters?
I would say that really sucks, Joe.
Thanks, Khalid. Did you guys like the monsters?
Loved them. They're so gross. They're so different. That's the big thing. Like I think of that Babysitter's Guide movie we watched. Like I liked it, but I think one of my complaints that I brought up there was the variance between the monsters wasn't really there, and the threats weren't really like as like palpable, at least consistently. With this, that's the opposite problem. Like it's an embarrassment of riches, man. That's the equal parts. Like there's like that frog one that's nasty when he's in that little the hive or whatever, when it's like the bees or whatever are coming at him at the colony right before he gets the slack from Michael Rooker's character and gets saved. I mean, and then the kills are so gross and like really like played into their anatomy. I could go on.
You remind me that by saying the frog thing, that scene, we totally didn't mention Boy, right? We haven't mentioned Boy yet, the dog.
Yeah, I think
that's another character I want to see fleshed out more.
The dog.
Yeah, what's the deal with that dress? Did they ever explain that?
Yeah, right.
It's from his old owner. That's all we know.
That was so sad. And then when Joel yells at him because he was like trying to get it from the water and it caused the whatever.
Nobody sided with Joel on that argument. Everybody was mad at him who was watching this movie, I'm sure.
You don't yell at the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't yell at the dog. You're right.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, in a way, you can sort of...
I mean, he was like infected with poison or something too. So I guess you can kind of give him a little bit of a pass, maybe. Just a bit.
I don't know, man. That's got to be like one of like the few dogs that survived all of this. Dogs in a world like that would be easy prey, is my guess. They're loud. They don't really understand like the situational awareness enough to be like, because they think of themselves as like alpha or apex predators, so they're not gonna be able to just like keep their guard up 24/7 for something that might haunt them.
Anyway, so hey, I got some quotes from the director about the monsters specifically, if you guys will indulge me.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
So director was it Micheal Matthews. So here's a quote from him in an interview with comicbookmovie.com. He says, quote, "I stuck to the core idea that what I like is they're amphibians, reptiles, and insects. They're from our planet, but just had mutated and grown. So how do you keep that tangibility to them so it feels like a big centipede or whatever it might be, but without it simply being that simple? It has to have mutated in a way, so you adjust the way it's textured and the design elements to accentuate things. I feel like relating it back to something so they don't feel too alien was the key for me. Then balancing between giving them a bit of character and making them quite interesting in their design, but not going too far so they then became a bit cartoony where they've got too much quirk. It took a while to find those balances across the different creatures." So basically what he's saying is he wanted him to feel real and grounded, but also not like I mentioned before, not just like a big version of that thing. So it's like obviously mutated and weird, but not too cartoony and goofy. So would you guys think that they were able to strike that balance pretty well?
I feel like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. I think the highest compliment I can give this movie is that this is maybe the first thing I've seen that evoked the first Men in Black in terms of the CG and monster effects that movie brought to the table. And it's impressive. It's sad because that was so long ago, and I can only think of this movie since then that really like rivals it in terms of the kind of thought that went into the creature design and the execution of the thought that went into it. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it all these years, and this is the closest I've seen to the first MIB.
What do you think, Nikki?
Yeah, they definitely felt grounded enough and familiar enough to relate to, what they were and to feel like such a creature was possible. But the accentuation of certain features about them and the mutations and kind of the added scariness. I mean, any of those animals blown up would be formidable, but some of the extra things they seemed to have were scary. I mean, it was scary. It wasn't cartoony at all. So they definitely steered clear of that. So yeah.
The lead creature designer or VFX guy is this, from a company like Steve Boyle, I believe it's called, or Steve Boyle. And he was interviewed in another interview I found that he said that the director wanted to emphasize like emotional leverage with the creatures. So like when he had the director had a lot of say in some of the designs of it and wanted to make sure that all of the monsters sort of had that like appeal, like the point that like looking into their eyes, right, to kind of gauge sort of the intent of the monsters. Like that was a big part of it. They wanted to feel like you can almost like make a connection with some of these creatures too. Like they all had to serve a purpose.
Yeah, I pretty much said that to that effect, that it felt like there was variation and purpose to all of them. So without even realizing that was what they were going for, I would say that they achieved that. Yeah,
and actually, I don't know if you guys recognize this, but there's actually quite a bit of practical effects too. Like there's a lot of CGI that you notice, but the creature designers are talking about how they tried their best to use as much animatronics and practical puppetry as they could. So like practical creature effects, a lot of it were done by sculpting in clay, fiberglass molds, reproductive from foam latex and silicone with fiberglass underneath for mechanics. They did say the toughest animatronic that they made was the robot. So the Mavis robot that he has that heart to heart with was actually all entirely practical. And it was like hundreds of pieces they had to put together and like puppetry to move it around.
Hundreds of pieces? Wow,
hundreds, he said.
It just looked like a box with an iPad in it, but what do I know? I'm not an art
The movements
person.
are really interesting though, like, right? Like it feels like the movements of it feel interesting in the sense that like we don't have, I mean, I guess we kind of do have robots now, but like that seems like where robots would go in like the very near future, that they would still not be that graceful with their movements. They're kind of like a little like jerky and a little like slow, but it just felt like it wasn't sleek, and I appreciated that about it.
Okay, but since you brought up Mavis, it's insane that he just like leaves it there and doesn't think to come back for it or bring it back to his like commune at the end of it's insane, right? Because they get so much mileage out of something like a CB radio in like inspiring like the masses to get out of their basement. Think of what you could do with this robot that literally just like based on you giving like your first name and where you're from in town was able to do things that you can't even do with a Google search, guys. Like it like found like pictures of his parents and like made a slideshow in like a second. And this is on less than 20% battery, guys. Like the amount of things that they just casually throw out there that this robot can do, and he just gives it this like at Logan at the end of Logan funeral where you just like put like a marker and just walk away like, well, this will do nobody any good. No way we'll ever be able to get electricity again.
Wow. Yeah, and he had that other one. He had another Mavis in the bunker too originally that just never worked too. Remember that?
Pure insanity that you wouldn't just like, you know what hydroelectricity is. Just get like at least like a paddle boat or just something, you know, just let me know that you're trying. You say you're good with radios. What's powering the radio? Just riddle me that.
I mean, they had a cow in their bunker. I mean, I
There's
feel like you could manage.
They're clearly like working their way back up to like society and civilization, and it just feels like to leave like what is essentially just like your Alexa on crack, like in a field somewhere, is a missed opportunity.
Maybe it'll come back in the sequel.
It better. This is my call out to that team. I loved your movie, but if you don't bring Mavis back and address this wrong, I will never compliment it again.
You'll have words on the internet.
Oh, we will have words, believe.
That scene also makes me think of the jellyfish part. Remember they're
those were so cool.
Wasn't that cool?
Yeah.
So that's another one that was actually a practical effect.
That was the first time while watching that movie that I was like, man, I almost want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You almost want to be there.
Almost. Keyword almost.
I don't know. It's kind of fun if you get to. I mean, the only trade off is that it seems like it's very unlikely that you get any of your loved ones, let alone like most of them, to like go into this world. So like if you do go into it, you're like everybody else there, where it's just like, all right, I guess I just have to make whatever family I like huddled in with when things got scary. But if you do somehow get to have like let's say the top 5 people you care about just in that bunker with you, that's a pretty appealing world.
Really?
I don't know. As far as like the worlds that we've discussed on the show, it's not like the world I would like immediately run to, but you know, they make it seem promising, especially at the end.
Okay, Khalid. Yeah, if you want to go there,
Speak for yourself.
Hey guys, I'm done with this life. I'll see you in the land where the monsters roam.
Do you guys have a favorite monster that we saw on screen?
Mine's probably the crab slave thing that they fight at the end.
Why?
It just was the only monster that was given like enough personification. You know what I mean? Had its own little arc. Was able to turn on the captain and all those bad people at the end, and I don't know. I guess it just, you know, there was the promise of adventures to come with a crab like that. You know, it's like Genie at the end of Aladdin when he gets freed.
Yeah. I guess what's he going to do next, huh?
Yeah, it's literally, the chain broke. Like he's literally Genie at the end of Aladdin.
Nikki, how about you?
Well, I think I was going to say the crab too. I mean, the jellyfish were also really cool. That's what I kind of just said. But they really just kind of looked pretty. We didn't get to see much more from them. They seemed to be not aggressive or hostile, I guess. So there's that. I mean, maybe the snail, I guess that was really cool too. Kind of one of the other nice creatures, so to speak. I guess it was just really cool, like the unique spin that they put on the snail. And it was just kind of cool how Joel didn't even realize like what it was at first until like it slithered by. It looked kind of like it had like a rock on its back, or like
I think they called it a rock snail, didn't they?
Did they call it a rock snail?
I think they might have.
Okay. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. I didn't like that centipede. That was my least favorite. Joe knows I hate centipedes. Anything with too many legs.
Oh, was that the one that trapped the dog?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite monster, Joe?
I was actually going to go with the snail. That was my favorite too.
There's only
I
like
don't-
2 nice ones in this. You're not
I
gonna
like the
pick
nice
You're
ones,
not gonna pick the mean one. Yeah, it makes sense.
The queen.
the queen. Was the centipede the one that that had the fin that came up from the ground, like basically like tremors, like the under the sand thing?
Yeah, that was the one that Michael Rooker was like warning him about, right? Or was that the queen?
Yeah.
No, that was the queen.
That was the queen.
Oh, okay.
The,
So
the centipede didn't do that.
That wasn't the centipede. That was a different. That was the
centipede
queen.
The one
Okay.
with the grenade. Then was that the one he threw the grenade at?
Yeah. No,
No.
that's the queen.
The centipede was the
well,
one that trapped the dog.
and he got mad at the.
You watched this, Khalid. You watched this movie more recently than us.
Yeah, but the scenes that were like a threat to him were like, I don't know, like I didn't stop and like really dissect like which monster was which. Like the threats were pretty much similar, even if the monsters were distinct.
But the centipede came up out of the ground and it had literally like 1,000 legs and it curled up around the dog. And that was when he had the flashback to his mom.
Yeah. Okay. It's coming back to me now. It's coming. You know what? I've watched like 7 movies between now and Love and Monsters. I had a long day yesterday.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so if you guys want to know what happened at that same exact time in Michael Bay's Pain and Gain, I could tell you. That one's more fresh in my mind.
No, you're good, Khalid. Thanks.
Okay.
I guess like if I can't say the snail, I don't know. It's hard to say because they're all bad. They're all the bad ones now, like the mean ones.
What about that frog?
I was gonna go with frog. Yeah, the frog is cool. I think just because like the design was so Pokemon-esque. Like that was the one that really was like, yeah, this feels like Pokemon, and I like almost like a giant Bulbasaur in a sense. Like it's really cool, and it has the tongue thing, so that's kind of fun. But yeah, I think that was cool. I'm really curious. I would like to see more monsters. Like I'd like to see more of what's at sea. Also, like we saw the crab is the biggest glimpse of that, and a snail kind of, but like what's out in the sea? Like what happened to like fish?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, like I'm a step ahead of you. The whole time I was just like, this is cool, but like I would love to just see another story in this world. Like what are like hood kids in London doing against these monsters? What are scholars in Mozambique doing about this? I mean, obviously that's not the one they'll go with, but something, like there's just so many cool ways they can go about this, and they can even mess with how much time has passed in that world to really set it apart from the last movie. It could be its own Cloverfield universe.
Yeah, it could be.
It's a lot of potential.
Yeah. You know what also has a lot of potential, Khalid?
I can only guess.
Bears have a lot of potential, Khalid.
That is not anything anyone's ever said about bears, but it's also not wrong. You're in that unique spot.
Yeah, so there. Do the creatures that we see throughout this movie pass the 4 bears test?
Okay, so we've done enough of these now that we understand when it's like a movie with one monster, it's a little easier to say yes or no. With multiple monsters, you really got to start getting into the thick of it of like, okay, compared to what monster would it be 4 bears? Or so it's tough to say because they really, at the beginning, it's a huge info dump that they drop on you exposition wise with like the world that you're about to enter. And one of the things that they just kind of casually drop is that the military, while it was still around, took care of the larger class monsters, the kaiju, essentially, as we would understand them.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that part.
Dude, they dropped so much information in that beginning part that's like super good to know, but also never comes into play in the actual story. It's a lot. Like you could tell they really wanted to build the world, but understood only so much of it needed to be in it. But yeah, that's one part of it. So the idea is that understandably that like the kaiju class got wiped out, but that fight took out a lot of humanity's ability to fight the smaller sized ones. But even the smaller sized ones that we're seeing don't really compare to even 4 bears. Like the snail looks like, I don't know, if I had to guess, like 15 bears if you were to to try and do a 1-to-1 with the scale there. Size wise, maybe the crab. The crab, I would think, would pass the four bears test. I think if the captain showed up to like colonies and just like got them like drunk off of the like weird like his that's so funny that he's like just like this like douchebag that like crafts his own beer but then like roofies it. Just like even in the apocalypse, you can't get away from that guy. But I think it would be funny if like he roofies everybody at the like beach party, and then they wake up and it's just like four bears are coming at them. I think it's the same threat. So I will say it's a partial pass based on the crab at the end. I don't think they could do anything against four bears any more than they could against that crab at the end if it was under the captain's control.
All right, great points.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's variable. I mean, they're all kind of different, like power structures and different like abilities. Like I feel like I mean, bears don't really. I mean, do they burrow? But do bears burrow?
No,
they don't burrow.
That would be so scary if they were like that. Do you understand? Like the size of a bear, if it was like able to effectively burrow through the ground like that fast, we're screwed.
So there should be a movie about that.
I think it's called Tremors. They just switched it. Like they just took the bear out of it. You're just describing Tremors.
We're spoiling your four bears test for Tremors when it comes up.
Oh
man. So I feel like the movie already posed the next question.
Oh, well, why don't you take it?
Only because sometimes Joel fights and sometimes he flirts. So I guess, Khalid, what would you do with, I guess, each of the main monsters? Or which monster do you think you would most have to fight, and which one would be you most likely flirt with?
I think for me, this question comes down to like reflexes. This Joel has it like nice and easy insofar as when he does come up against the good ones, he's got that like cinematic moment that he can like lock eyes and be like, yeah, we're cool. I don't give myself enough credit to maintain eye contact. Yeah, I don't give myself the credit to maintain eye contact with one of these things long enough to be like, all right, he's not going to attack me. I don't trust my judgment enough on that. So unfortunately, the likelihood of me killing a nice one on accident is very likely. My answer is fight every time. It doesn't seem to be any... He's not flirting with them. Like, none of them are like, oh, Joel, he's so pretty. I guess I'll let this one live. It's like he's just coming up against like inherently good ones, which I can't count on that. You know, either I'm cute enough to survive or I'm not.
I don't know. There's a little back and forth with the eyes with that crab.
Okay, the crab
one. He was just rejected by his girlfriend, so.
All right, and maybe that's just a testament to like Dylan O'Brien's like charms, and I'm just not giving him his due. But right. But for me personally, it's got to be fight. It's this one. It's not even just because of like my instincts kicking in before I can actually determine which is which. Part of it is that like this is the kind of like world where like the threat of the monsters, like they're slow. They're in general like they're kind of slow. Like he's able to react and run away and like hear them coming, and when he gets the Zombieland treatment and like all the rules from Michael Rooker and little Minnow, it's manageable. So when it's manageable, then it gets fun, especially when you've been following like the weakest example of a person on the above ground. Like if you're the kind of person that can actually like kind of get into it and really like make this your like world, your life, like, oh man, I'm shimmying, I'm juking, I'm coming at them with the machete. I want to do that thing that Michael Rooker did where like the monster like jumps up the hole and he just like slices it, so all you see is like it come back down in two pieces as Joel like falls on the ground. I want to do that a couple times.
I'm trying to picture that.
Well, it's when they first meet him and they pull him out of the hole.
No. I'm trying to picture you doing that, Khalid.
It's super easy if you've ever met me. This is for the listeners. That's the kind of thing that you see me and you immediately understand that I'm down to do that and capable.
All right. We'll go with it.
How about you guys? Actually, I'm curious. Fight or flirt these guys? I feel like Nikki, you're more or less agreeing with the fight.
I think I have a little bit more pause in me than you do. I think I would be able to distinguish nice from not nice. I would fuck up that centipede.
Kudos to you. Oh yeah, you'd wreck the centipede. I have no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gone.
How about you, Joe?
I'd probably land somewhere in the middle of you two, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll do my share of I don't know, like chopping monsters in half as they come out of holes, too. But I'll pause a little bit here and there.
I feel like that'd just be like if we somehow both like survived like that post-apocalypse and like we're in that world. That'd just be like a thing we do every weekend. So I gotta chop a couple monsters as they come up a hole.
What are like the little like ditches or the holes that they all hang out in and just wait for them to pop up?
Yeah, exactly. Like we just like go back and forth about like our favorite Marvel movies, and then just like slice a monster as it comes up.
Sounds like a good weekend activity.
Yeah, I'm into it.
So Khalid,
I would fight those suckers.
And that's the end. That's the end of that segment. Thanks, Khalid.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I just wanted to give you that final word there. So
love it.
So anyway, I think we'll probably wrap this up. I think we all seem to have enjoyed the movie, right? Wouldn't you all say you guys liked it overall?
We literally discussed that, yeah.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, final thoughts, same as the rest of the thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts are the same as the first thoughts. You're right. Yeah, good movie overall, though.
Great movie.
But that brings us to our final segment of the show. Our what the fandom section.
Yeah, boy.
How was that one, Khalid?
It was good. That one felt like even you were questioning it, which that was a first for me.
I wasn't sure if I was going to go with it that way. So anyway, exactly. our what the fandom segment is the point in the episode where we kind of go around and talk about something different from the movie or the monster we were talking about, just something we're into, something we're reading, watching, listening to that we think you listeners might dig. So we'll go ahead. Khalid, why don't you start us off? What the fandom with you?
Hey, so my fandom this week is the Hulu documentary. I think it's called "Framing Britney Spears." It's like an installment on this FX documentary series. So they've got other episodes, but the new one that the internet's been talking about and that I am also now talking about is called "Framing Britney Spears." And if you're in the same age range as like me and Nikki and Joe, Britney Spears is just a name that you grew up with. Like before you in your mind were able to understand like how important a person would be, you already knew who Britney Spears was, and then just like ascribe that importance to her if you grew up around the same time as we did. So watching this documentary was equal parts like reliving my own childhood with some of the news stories that were popping up, and kind of understanding that it wasn't like the 90s wasn't just like a fever dream like everyone assumes their childhood would be. It actually happened, and it was sometimes even more ridiculous than you remember. So that's what this documentary does. The big thing that it discusses is her current situation, which is the conservatorship that her father has her under, which, without like putting too like simplistic of words to it, she's basically just like maybe like the most famous American like domestic prisoner there is. I don't know how else to put it. Like it seems like she's just very much like against her will being kept there through the promise of being able to continue to see her kids, maybe, or just because of maybe unfortunate circumstances that she did have at a point in her life, or to this day being held against her when maybe she doesn't need it anymore. And the documentary brings that up. It also kind of talks about the culture that feasts on teenage girls in the limelight in this country. There's a lot of really gross footage of her as a teenager, and there's like a gross Matt Lauer interview that she does, which obviously.
Ew.
Exactly. So like it's like, we know who Matt Lauer is now, but even if he wasn't Matt Lauer, like the things he was saying to this little girl, like this straight child, in interviews, like facing her down like she's a war criminal or something. It's all a lot to take, and I'm still a little iffy on myself about like even like what this discourse will do to further her cause. Hopefully it sheds like light to it and think something good comes of it for her and her family's sake. But I'm also like, this documentary is fascinating because the other way to look at it is that we're just now picking over the scraps of this like woman's life that we already just like mulled like dozens of times over in her life. So yeah.
Damn, sounds heavy.
Yeah, Framing Britney Spears. Check it out. Enter the discourse at your peril.
Yeah, where can you find it?
Oh, yeah, Hulu. Yes, on Hulu.
Okay.
Nikki, what the fandom with you?
Okay, so my What the Fandom this time is going to be another book, I guess, because I think the last time I was on my What the Fandom was a book. This time, though, it's a collection of short stories called, well, the collection is called The Future is Female, Women's Science Fiction Stories from the Pulp Era to the New Wave. So it starts out with American science fiction by women from the 1920s and goes through about the 1960s. And it just has lots of different, like, really cool sci-fi concepts throughout the decades. And I've read, I think there's 24, 25. There's about 24, and I'm only about 3 in. But Joe got that for me for Christmas this year or last year, I guess, the end of last year. And so I've been reading through that, and there's a lot of really cool, trippy things I'm reading, and it's a lot of fun.
Sweet.
The Future is Female.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
check that out.
Yeah. Joe, what do you got?
All right, Joe.
What the fandom with me, right?
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
What the fandom?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So mine is, I think most people who know me know that I'm a big fan of like science fiction. I grew up like a huge Star Trek fan. So anyway, space opera is kind of my jam, right? I've never watched Babylon 5, and it just got this kind of nice like not remaster, like they like upgraded the visual and everything, and HBO Max just dropped the whole series. And so I finally thought I'd give it a chance. It's a 90s space opera show that's kind of like, I think it has got a cult following, but being somebody who's into sci-fi space operas, it was sort of like a little bit of a red mark for me. Like I knew nothing about it. I mean, the characters or the setting or anything. Anyway, so I finally threw it in on HBO and gave it a watch. It starts with this like 2-hour kind of pseudo pilot movie thing, which isn't quite what the series is going to be, and then the series picks up after that. But I'm really liking it. The special effects are really, really rough, really rough. Like it's like PlayStation 1 special effects. But despite that, like when they're in the space station and you see like the aliens and the makeup and the prosthetics, it's all super cool. The concepts and the writing is really cool. It's supposedly like a kind of like almost like a serialized novel, like where the writer J. Michael Straczynski, who also worked on Sense8 and has written a lot of comics. He wrote a lot of Thor, and for Marvel, he's the one who wrote and made this series, and he had planned it out to be 5 seasons apparently, and it got 5 seasons, so he's able to tell his story completely. But anyway, that being said, I'm only about 7 episodes into season 1, and I've heard people say it doesn't get that like really that good until later on, but I'm really into it so far. It's super wacky, very 90s. It's exactly the kind of space opera stuff that I love, with like Star Trek and Farscape and some of the other ones that I like to watch. So if you are a space sci-fi fan like me, go to HBO, check out Babylon 5. It's worth a watch.
Heck yeah, Babylon 5, y'all.
Anyway, all right. Nikki, thanks for being on the show again.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, it was a blast. I'm glad you're willing to return, and hopefully you will come back again.
You better.
I think so.
So the only reason I'm still doing this is the faint hope that you will guest every once in a while.
So that pressure's on you.
Well, I'll keep that hope alive for now.
Oh, thank God.
Before we go, folks listening, we want to say thanks for listening, but also check out our socials, our pages on Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to subscribe on wherever you get your podcasts. And if you would be so kind to leave us a nice 5-star rating and review.
Yeah, we will shout you out. We look at the reviews before the recording, and if you say something nice, we will shout you out, and we will, if it's not too long, read your reviews. So please give us some love on them tunes, on them charts, and yeah, thank you guys. Until
Tunes
next time,
in the charts.
The tunes in the charts, and until next time, why don't y'all just creep it easy for me?